What Gachagua is doing is playing politics. Pure and simple.
If you go,
his opponents must play politics while at the same time run government. And again, if they get confused and mix the two, they will come out looking bad. Have you seen the sort of excitement it's causing on the ground? Who would have known Gachagua would take coast by storm? Gachagua anaanza safari hapa akipita Ukambani akielekea kwa makuzo nchi inatetemeka. Na sasa nyinyi mnakataa. It's people like you that block leadership from seeing what they should see to make the necessary changes and the necessary moves to achieve what they want. Like
they are misleading the president.
You know, the beauty about our national anthem is that it talks about Undugu. You know, we are brought together by a beautiful flag, which we all swear allegiance to, that unites our people. So when you hear words like those coming from a would-be leader, somebody who wants to lead this country, that's what I'm saying. It is embarrassing as it is disgusting. You see, you want to pass, and this is a problem. We want to pass, or somebody wants to pass the test of being popular. Populism, yeah, as Prof would say. You want to pass the test of populism, not the test of essence and character. That's what we are looking for. And you know, when we talk about a united Kenya, that's the kind of rhetoric that takes us back, yeah? You and me and Prof here, we've been students of politics, so we know when somebody is talking as somebody who's looking for a slogan to divide and rule, because that's what it is. That's what it is. And that is why our national anthem talks about Undugu, all of us. I think where we are is we are so busy building a Kenya that we want. And it really has no space for such rhetoric, to be honest. Okay. And it's not the first time that we are hearing this, neither is it going to be the last. But I am glad at the same time that, yes, we may talk about it, we may make banter, but I don't think there's any self-respecting leader who's going to give it the relevance that the person talking about cousins deserves. And I honestly, I hope no self-respecting leader will give it the relevance.
I think there's nothing wrong with people talking about cousins. We keep talking about Ndugu Zanguni from the times of Jomo Kenyatta.
Fellow Kenyans.
Yeah, fellow Kenyans, Ndugu Zanguni. There's nothing wrong with that. But if one would want to go deep and read politics into it, again, there is basically nothing wrong with it. Politics is organized around identities. And if that identity be about Makuzo, then there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, politics is about identifying with certain persons, certain groups, and it works everywhere like that. So if they are going to be Kuzos getting together, Gabriel, there's nothing wrong with that.
Even when he says cousins, what about the aunties? What about the nieces? What about the nephews? What about the uncles? Is this the time that then we are cousins? Is it the time? I can even play for you a very small clip here. It's a Swahili clip. The same former deputy president saying clearly that us from the Ukambani region, from the eastern region, we have no shares. We don't even, deserve to get slots. He goes to the same Cumberland on the same spot and says, okay, now we are cousins, And actually, with all due respect, do cousins marry each other? Because, the reason I'm asking that is simply because for us in the Mount Kenya community, which I respect very much, and that is also where I'm married, in the Mount Kenya community, we are in-laws, Exactly. That's the thing. And that's how we really respect one another. We ain't cousins. Even our sisters, our friends who have are married in the other communities, we are in-laws. You cannot call my in-law a cousin. You'll be now, the wazes will tell you, utoe mbuzi. So it's just a political narrative that is just being created to try and woo. Okay. Because the communication that should be there, what should be coming out should be more of we are all Kenyans, and this is what we deserve, or this is what you deserve. If we get into government, this is what we're going to do, A, B, C, and D. There should be plans, there should be programs of what they're supposed to do. How can the narrative be, hi cousins, like seriously? How can the narrative be one term? Like seriously? How can the narrative be names of the president? That's the narrative.
Okay.
When we stand, us,
Yeah.
we are talking about affordable housing. We are talking about health issues, electrical issues, roads issues, and many other things.
The other time, he went and said, he was actually talking about how he was actually chastising the president. At that time, he was the deputy president. He's telling the president, I was telling the president, I have to be honest, as the way he used to call himself, and said, I was telling him, why are you giving these people, the combined people he was talking about, why are you giving them places in government? By the way, they didn't vote for us.
That's a clip.
That's the same clip. And that's why I'm telling you, the worst thing about sloganeering, and pushing for popularity or populism, it can only go as far. And this is what I think this evening should be about: a country and a great nation called Kenya. And that is why, Senator, we have to do our best, Prof. We must grow. We must outgrow this nonsense and pettiness of gatekeeping into understanding what you call magnanimity of distribution and sharing. You cannot be going somewhere unaweka mikono zako hivi unasema ati usiguze. And that's why you're seeing people really burning the midnight oil to say, how are we going to bring this country together? I keep telling people when I'm teaching them what has to do with governance, as it is not only in the local or the international market, the greatest of ideas are the ones that supersede the geographical location of their creators. Right?
Okay.
Imagine it this way. You now have an iPhone, and this I'm giving you a good example, an iPhone in the remotest villages. You have that Kanmulika Nokia in the remotest of villages. Imagine if their creators would have thought about the individual locales. You not have gone, right? And that's why it's incumbent upon leaders to think about a community holistically, not this nonsense of gatekeeping.
I come from the eastern region. I've been there actually the whole of last week. And this is information that we are aware. This is something that happened. These are complaints that the former deputy president brought out. I think there must be another clip. It's only that I don't have it. That he said, "Sisi hatuna shares." This issue of shares actually started with the people of Ukambani. He said, whatever we gave the president was little. Hatuna shares, and he's even questioning in this clip. He's even questioning, why are we supposed to be given 2 CSs? Na hatuna kura. The question is, today, that's why we are asking, today is when he has realized that the people of Ukambani have votes. Is it when he has realized? Like seriously? And it is sad. That's why we are saying when the narratives that is really trying to create up and down are still divisive narratives of dividing Kenyans.
I think that clip, those 2 clips are actually saying nothing. Because really, nothing.
I got nothing but love for you.
Not what my 2 friends here are trying to
really?
bring out. First of all, he's wooing the Kamba people. He's part of government. At that time, he's with President William Ruto, the guy, the Gachagua. And he's wooing the Kamba people. There's no way you can look at those 2 clips and not fail to see what I'm saying. He actually telling them this: look here, you people. Look at what we are doing for you. Don't you see we are good people? You need to come to our side. That despite not voting for us, look at what we are doing. In fact, me, I was even annoyed that the president was giving you this. That cannot mean anything near what these people are saying. It's just a way of wooing people. You have 1.5 million votes. You need to join other Kenyans. And those Kenyans you join are us, William Ruto and I, Rigathi Gachagua. That's what you were saying. That's the context. Because look here, take it this way.
Yeah.
You followed Raila when he's in Rift Valley.
Yes.
You're a newsman, and all of us are. These are politicians and whatever. You followed Ruto when he's in Nyanza before this broad something. How does Ruto talk when he's in Nyanza? How does Raila speak when he's in Rift Valley? How would Kalonzo speak where he knows his hostile territory? I don't think you can go and throw bombs at people. If it were to come out the way they are saying, you can face people in their territory, hostile territory, and tell them, you people, you are blah blah, you only have 5 million posts, you are useless, you are not worth anything. It's not possible.
But Prof,
Did Prof?
It doesn't come out that way. Anybody who was there and me listening, I know. It is just normal wooing the politicians do
Normal rhetoric.
all the time.
Emmanuel,
Just a moment.
if wooing, if that's wooing, then what is happening now?
Just a moment.
If wooing, if that was wooing
Yes,
back
wooing.
then, what is happening now? Is he wooing them now? So that cannot necessarily say that this guy was speaking idly. What he was saying, I was telling the president, there's no way he can give these guys these CS positions. They never voted for us.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, the issue about shares, in fact, that was the grid line.
That's not how it
came
comes
from.
out.
No, that's it's all
You can only try to force it that way.
Prof, but it's not me saying. I'm just
listening,
Emmanuel.
me watching
Emmanuel,
the
have I used my words? I've not used my words. I've just quoted verbatim what the guy said.
When somebody speaks, you look at the context in which he's speaking, you look at the people present, the people he's speaking to, and they can't be saying what people are saying. Absolutely not.
What was he saying, Prof?
What he's trying to say, look here, you Kamba people, there are two issues there. The issue number one is the issue of we are a good. Ruto and I are good people.
And
Look, despite you not voting for us,
We give you the
we
CS
give you the seat. We are good people. Then he proceeds to tell them, look, your votes are 1.5. To say on your own you can be president through Kalonzo is a dream. And therefore, join other Kenyans so that even if you want presidents, it is with other Kenyans. The Kenyans I want you to join are Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. That's what he's saying.
And he told us clearly to our face,
Yes.
we got no shares. And why did we not? We were not having shares is because we have 1.5. First of all, that 1.5, according to him, we did not vote for Dr. William Ruto. Those votes went to Raila. So why are we deserving 2 seats of cabinet secretary? That is the subject. So the question is today, the subject matter today in 2025 is, Kambas are asking, how comes now today we are cousins? We gonna make
Kenyans
good
out.
friends. Now with our 1.5, hold it.
Yeah.
With our 1.5 now, we can make presidency.
You are Kuzos.
Yeah? We are now
Kuzos.
Kuzos in 2025. Just a few months ago, last
I don't know why
year,
you
we
are
were
making
not.
fuss out of a very small matter.
It is not a small matter.
It is not anything.
It is
No, no,
a
no, no.
lying matter. He is lying to Kalonzo. He is just trying to see how to put him in the box and all that. That is what he's trying
And
to
Senator,
do.
what we really have gone through let me call it a treacherous journey to try and unite a country. We know where we were 2007. Even though you have people who are starting to bring that narrative back, we don't ever want to be there. And so you have a leadership that has gone through a very, very, very tumultuous journey to ensure that this country moves forward. Number one, as one. Number two, in unity, devoid of the shenanigans that we are hearing. And this is why I keep telling Prof, when you hear such sloganeering, when you hear people talking about, the kind of narrative that you're hearing, take a deep dive in those sentiments. Take a deep dive. And you know what you will find? You'll find something gory and dark. And that's why I believe, Senator, when Prof is saying that, he's just trying to bring in Kalonzo, I don't think that is it only. If it was a case where you're telling people, let's unite over something that's grander, that's something huge for this country, then that can be understood. But what he's saying is, our narrative, our unity as Kuzos, is to remove. You're reducing the capacity of your individuality and the people around you to really focus removing somebody.
These guys are missing the point.
No, we are not missing the point.
Politicians say all manner of things all the time. It is Winston Churchill who told us that he never got constipation from eating his words. What you are saying of Gachagua is true of Raila, is true of Ruto.
How?
They have said all manner of things about each other and about people. Ruto has talked about Wajaluo, watu wa kung'oa reli. So, but he's with Raila now. If you want to concentrate on that, you lose the point badly. Secondly, in the manner of saying that this cousin narrative is dividing the country is what? You know, Gachagua is a smart politician. And I said this. I actually begged Ruto through my public space. I told him, don't impeach Gachagua. He will mess you up. My clips are there, you can only see. And what I said...
But the president did not
is-
impeach
is-
Gachagua.
what-
He was impeached by his fellow cousins.
But even his lieutenants told us, most notable Cholet told us, you know, me have a good memory. He told us, Rais ukituambia kitu, tunafanya. Ukituambia Gachagua, tunafanya. So, don't go there. Gachagua is a smart politician. They wanted to isolate Gachagua and his people. The narrative of 41 versus 1 was beginning to be used. You heard people saying, Gachagua has no beef with the president. It is his community that feels, unless they are in power, nobody else should be in power. That narrative was powerful. What he has done, he has tipped it over in his favor.
No.
And he must be prepared for it. Because you wanted to isolate the Gemo community.
I mean,
Now listen,
who wanted to isolate
Let's listen to the favor.
I'm in media and you are in media.
Which favor?
Hujaenda sana.
I'm curious.
Let me just finish. So,
Which favor?
you wanted to isolate the Gema community and Gachagua. He has run over and run with the narrative to his advantage. Now he's tipped it over. Now he's ahead of you. Now he's mobilizing another section of the country
Ruthlessly.
so that you have 41 versus 1 that was going to isolate Gachagua and the Gema community is fallen flat.
No, Prof.
And that's what I'm saying.
Prof, I think you are
That's why I
wrong.
say this is a tough politician.
When you talk about the narrative,
Yes.
because that's where I wanted to understand. When you say they have a narrative, which narrative is this? Because from where I sit, the narrative that is there, Prof, is one term. Kasongo. Cousins. Those are the narratives, Kaongo, and all those name calling. Today, actually, when I was in church, I don't know if when the news came, that part came, I even asked, as leaders, we are parents, and I've asked, these insults that we are getting on top of the roof of the cars and insulting leaders, what do you expect when you go back to your household? Will this kid not insult you? That aside. But my concern is when you say Gachagua has a narrative, which narrative is that? I would want to understand. Because what Kenyans want to hear right now is matters economy. Is how, the country is going to move forward from where it has been. All the challenges, And also, William Ruto is working so hard to accomplish the manifesto that he promised Kenyans. When we've been doing this women economic empowerment, when they stood up on the roofs, they said, hii pesa wanatoa wapi? Where is this money coming from?
Correct.
A very simple, straightforward answer. William Ruto is employed, has a salary. Those MPs, they have their salaries, they're the ones coming. And why are they doing that? Because those are the same promises that were promised during the campaign period when we visited all these groups and tend to understand what do people need economically, because different regions have got different needs out there.
Okay.
So it is through that that now these programs are ongoing. But when they are ongoing, it is negated. When they are going, how can a whole leader, for Christ's sake, we've been trying to talk about issues of corruption, and a leader stands up and says, when this person comes and talks to you, you need to charge him. Is that not corruption? What will your kid tell you tomorrow? They say, if I have to listen to that teacher, if I have to do my homework, you have to pay me. It's like now they're doing it for us.
Okay.
Because you see, number 2, before I forget also, look at the subject of Gen Z that they have been trying to instill, they're trying to force. They're saying, I don't know, is it June 25th or which date?
Yes.
It's going to be a public holiday, Gen Zs. Okay, at least the other time Gen Zs came out because of the issue of the finance bill. Fine. This time, when you're telling them to come out, they're coming out for what? What exactly? And I appreciated Gen Z that time because they were very articulate. They were able to have conversations. You could listen to as much as some of them were not really, but they were really articulating very well. And we were able to listen, and that's why finally the president didn't understand. But that aside, what is it now that you wanted to tell other people's kids to get into the streets? Where are your own kids? Where are Kalonzo's kids? Where are Rigiji's kids? Where are they, for Christ's sake? Their job, they're in different countries working and all that, and life
Ivan,
is moving forward.
Thank you, actually, Senator.
This is
You're
our
right.
country at the end
Totally,
of the day.
totally. We used to talk about how the politics of isolation. And Senator, you know what used to come up through and through was if you want to really isolate a people or a community, the first thing in politics, when you're in power, number one is development, yeah? Keeping their people out of, what people has perceived as plump government positions, and things that deal with matters, tangibility of money and resources. So when Prof says that Mount Kenya is isolated, I can't swim in that current, because if you look at the number of people who are in this administration, when you're talking about whether it's PSS or CS positions, I don't need to tell you who they are. If you look at the economic balloon that region has received, matter of fact, I can give you an example. Just the other day when the president was talking about getting 35 billion shillings for roads for this entire country, 15 billion.
Almost half of it
went to that region. Are those people who look isolated? Are those people you can isolate? No. We had a problem with one individual because of his gospel. And back then as it is today, it is as toxic as it comes. The person who I know is one of the greatest mobilizers is none other than the current president, William Ruto. He's one of the best. And when he mobilizes, he will mobilize you on issues. And that's one thing I've always liked about him. You have somebody who waits or hears. And that's why I'm telling you, we are dealing with somebody who has serious issues. You have somebody who hears musicians from his area have gone to see leadership. Their deputy president, for crying out loud.
What Gachagua is doing is playing politics. Pure and simple.
If you go,
his opponents must play politics while at the same time run government. And again, if they get confused and mix the two, they will come out looking bad. Gachagua is succeeding as a politician. You cannot ask me whether he's succeeding and in what. Have you seen the sort of excitement he's causing on the ground? Who would have known Gachagua would take coast by storm? Look here. Don't live in denial, my friend. Do not live in denial. And I'm really very unhappy with the government spokesman because he's being unfair to the president. I'm not being unfair. You are being unfair to him because it's people like you that block leadership from seeing what they should see to make the necessary changes and the necessary moves to achieve what they want. Like
they are misleading the president.
Because Gachagua anaanza safari hapa akipita Ukambani akielekea kwa makuzo nchi inatetemeka. Na sasa nyinyi mnakataa. Stop using heavy words. You're using heavy words. I want to repeat to you slowly so that you get it. What I have said is this. People are building the narrative that was aimed at isolating Mount Kenya. People.
Which people?
And they have stated it.
Prof, I think you're doing all of us a disservice, Prof. In fact, we are not carrying rumors. No. Emmanuel, we are just reporting facts. You've heard them. Emmanuel.
Yes,
the person carrying that narrative, is the one who's going with the banner off. He built a narrative and said, he built a narrative. And it's a little bit weird. And it's a little bit weird that our good friend here is supporting that narrative. He said, we have been
government spokesman, and therefore you better listen more than talk. Then you'll be used to the system.
I speak.
You see, you and I have been in this space for a long time.
We have, Prof.
You know what I'm talking about. There have been leaders in this country who have made utterances aimed at isolating the Gema community. Political leadership. I don't want to mention names. The most prominent was in Western Kenya. And even Gachagua has alluded to this, and you know them. People who have said repeatedly that there's nothing wrong with the president's government. There's nothing wrong with the Kenya Kwanza government. The noise we are hearing is coming from Mount Kenya because Mount Kenya are never happy unless it is them who are in power. He's a journalist. You are a man of media. You are a senator. And you know what I'm saying is true. They have said that. They have said they are feeling bad that other parts of the country are now getting things. That everything has always gone to Mount Kenya. Now that the president is trying to distribute the national cake and taking you into places like Nyanza, and the people with leadership of Mount Kenya said it repeatedly in public rallies. In your space, you know what I'm talking about. And listeners know what I'm talking about. The net effect of that, the intention of those utterances, was to isolate Mount Kenya people, so that they do not get friends outside Mount Kenya in their attempt to remove Ruto. That's what I'm trying to say. Now I have gone ahead and said, you must take this Kuzo narrative seriously. When Gachagua said he was going to run, I came out and said, you are messing the opposition. Because one of the things that has held the opposition together is the almost accepted fact that the Mount Kenya people this time round will not run. They are going to support somebody in the opposition. That's what I've said.
No.
So to answer your question, therefore, if it's a question of fairness,
yes.
if it's a question of fairness,
Yeah.
the two communities who have been in power since independence have had more than their fair share of leadership. It
Okay.
should be somebody else.
There's a Swahili song that says, let me not sing but just do the lyrics. Akiwa ndani ananung'unika, akitoka nje ananung'unika, kisha anasema sisi, you know. Now, when he was inside the government, it was what suited him at that particular time. And most of these issues, you know, he was not really coming out, he was not really speaking. But apparently, what is more sad is that when Rigiji is out of the government, we've not really had any exact narrative, any exact, plan or proposal, their manifesto. I heard them say that when they get into government, they are going to remove the affordable housing.
Right.
What we're being deducted. Now, Prof,
Yes.
I know you're blessed.
You know?
I know you're blessed.
Yes. Thank
So
God.
you must have a big mansion.
No, I don't.
You have your
I don't.
big house.
No. That's a blessing you mean. I don't. I'm a very ordinary Kenyan.
What I mean?
I don't even have a house in Nairobi.
No problem. Even the one that God has blessed you with.
Yeah, I'm blessed, but not in the line you are thinking. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you have your shelter, you have your
Yeah, I don't sleep
basics.
outside, of course.
Of course, you don't sleep outside. You
Yeah.
have your washroom. You have your just good homestead with your beautiful
Even with
family.
maybe a
Now,
little latrine, but it's okay.
now, with the affordable housing plan that is there, the other day when we were giving the residents of Mukuru Kwanjenga, when we gave them, the houses,
1,000 houses,
we
an
could-
each.
yes, we could see how they were feeling, because most of them do not even have a basic, that is a toilet. It's been, flying toilets. And these people, this is the first time they're actually having a decent home. They're able to have a toilet inside the house. Yet some of us have houses with over 10 bedrooms. Each bedroom has a washroom. How many times, at how many points of need can you use a bathroom? It's only one at a time. That's what I mean. And when we are not looking at the benefit to the people down there who are benefiting from this affordable housing, we are just trying to say they will stop that.
Some would call them
What?
avoidable.
Prof, can you
Yes.
just tell us, even one or two Rigiji's manifestos?
You see, you are talking about Rigiji's manifesto. Rigiji is not in government. Rigiji has not even declared he is running for presidency.
Okay.
Rigiji is playing in politics to destabilize you people, so that by the time you get to 2022, you are wobbling.
Yeah,
you are
nobody
limping.
is paying attention.
And therefore, you should be listening to me who is telling you, muangalie Uriji, atawamaliza. This is a smart he's a dangerous politician. Actually, the word is not smart. Rigiji is a dangerous politician. A friend of mine said
that narrative.
a friend of mine called John told me, he was saying, you can have many enemies. Let Rigiji not be one of your enemies. Don't run against Rigiji. He will destroy you. Now, on the issue of housing, this issue of housing makes me sad that I'm an African. It makes me sad that I'm a Kenyan. When you have a population of 50 million people or thereabouts, more than 20 or so, 30% adult population, when you have over 80% of Nairobi population living in places that are not even slums, you need a word for it. A slum is better. What is in Mukuru Kwanjenga is not a slum. You need a word for that. When you have that kind of problem and you celebrate the construction of 1,000 units,
13,000.
Listen, please, I'm talking.
Government.
When Raila and the Kibaki came up with the Kibera project, I think is it BBC or something, and I said, you see, Kibera is the biggest slum in Africa. That time people were saying it, I don't know how many, almost 1 million people, of course, those figures are exaggerated. Now, those houses that Kibaki and Raila put up in the place we call Raila Village, even if you are given 100 years at that space, at that pace, and assuming you hold everything constant, the only thing that's happening, people are dying, but nobody's being born. Nobody's being born in Kibera, and people are dying, but nobody's being born. So the population you have, hold it constant, and they construct 2,000 houses in 2 or 3 years. Even if you are given 100 years, you will not house those people. That is the sort of stupid thinking that is killing this country. Botswana is a population of 2.5 million senator people. The president, there's this clip doing the round, this man in uniform, the new president. He's saying in 2 years, Botswana is constructing 100,000 houses. The idea is nobody in Botswana will live in Botswana without a house. A country of 2.5 million people. The target is 100,000 houses in 2 years. A population of 50 million people, you want to do, I don't know how, what are you talking about, Mukuru Kwanjenga? Let me finish, please. That is the sort of thinking, if you can call it thinking, that will ensure we cannot survive as a people. Petty thinking. You need big thinking to lift a country up into prosperity, not this kind of pedestrian thinking.
Okay.
In terms of those regulations, the law provides that the housing levy money will be used to build houses, but it will also be used to construct markets, schools, police stations, and so on. That's the law. What the parliament is doing now is to coming up with regulations to enable that law, to operationalize that law. Now, what the framers of the act had in mind was, if you put up an estate somewhere,
Correct,
of 3,000 units, or say like the one you are now saying is very good, 1,000. If you have an average family of 4 people, how many people are in that estate now? That's 4,000 people. Surely you need a market for those people, for that estate. You need security, and a police station may be a good idea, or a police post. You may need a nursery school, a primary school. That is what the law says. The crooks now are saying the money will be thrown into constituencies, so that you put up a house in Mukuru Kwanjenga, but its market you go and construct it in Amisi. What kind of thinking is this? You people, you know you are destroying this country.
No, that's not what it
You
means.
are destroying this country. You are destroying this country.
Let me come.
Go to Ruto. Look at the houses. Right now, in Makuyu, look at it. Right? No. Wait, you know the population of Nairobi?
No.
Prof, what is the population of Nairobi?
It's almost 4 million.
Yeah, let's say 4-5. Listen, 4-5 million, Emmanuel, with 80% of the people of Nairobi living in slums. If you put up even 13, this is what I said.
We've listened to that. Allow us to.
When President William Ruto came into power, the first thing he realized was we needed to fix something. I am glad that we're talking about housing. And I'm glad Prof is sharing, even though a skewed insight. He understands that we cannot continue doing this business as usual. We may disagree, Senator. We may disagree on how it is being done. But one thing remains supreme, that we have a problem with housing in modern Kenya and in modern Nairobi. When statistics say that by the end of 2035, 60% of the population will be living in urban centers.
Decent housing.
It creates a vacuum that you need to move with speed. All right? And this is why I was saying, Emmanuel, when you come to contact with knowledge, the next thing, Senator, we expect out of you is transformation.
Correct.
And that is what the president will. Albeit the fact that we may say we are a little bit slow. We have a deficit of 250,000 houses per year. But let me tell you the reason why I'm so happy. We are heading in the right direction. Prof may be talking about small thinking. Prof may be talking about, that's small thinking. You can never build. You can never. If I can point to you the amount of misdirection leaders have been shown, and yet they persevered, and they lived to show their detractors that it can be done. I can tell you, Prof is living in the past 4 years.
What Prof has said in the last part, in terms of, it is important when you put such huge, units, the houses, the population increases. When this population increases, these people need to go shopping. These people need hospitals. People also need schools for their children.
Yes.
A police station. When was the last time whenever did you step in a slum called Mukuru?
Me, I've lived there.
When did you step in the many other slums that are in this?
I've lived in Mukuru, I've lived in Kware, I've lived in
If you've lived there, Prof,
yes,
today you would understand
I do.
that these people need these houses.
I do.
Now, the concern that I see you
But address what I said.
I'm coming there.
So that we are logical in our discussion.
Correct. Is then the how factor. How do we achieve this for 50 million Kenyans?
Yes.
A very important question.
Go ahead, answer that now.
When during Baba's Kibaki's time and all that, when they did the Kibra homes, and they didn't go far. Why? Because there was no plan. There was no strategy. Where were they get the money?
So
now with the new law, there's the 1.5, as Toa say, 1.5 from employer and employee. That's where the money is coming from. There is a source of funding to be able to put up these houses. These houses are
maybe I'll educate you.
Let me finish kindly. These houses are
give me a minute to educate them about housing and the building of houses.
Let me
briefly, because of time as well.
As we speak right now,
time is going.
PS Hinga, who's the PS for housing and all that, at the minute there's no financial challenge in terms of construction of these houses, in terms of construction of those markets. And let me make it clear, those markets are not being built outside. What is happening if they go to a county like Kitui County, for example? What they need is government land or land that can be available, and then they put up those houses and put the market and everything within that particular.
Correct, but President has told there are 260 markets going on.
Those 260
are not linked to houses. Those are different. Come on. They are not linked.
Budget.
Yes.
Play what? The president. Yes, he has talked about markets within now the affordable housing, and there are other markets that are also being constructed.
You can't mix the two. What do you mean you can't mix the two? What does it mean? Listen, for instance.
No, I have not finished. I tried to ask Prof at the beginning, what is the narrative, what is the manifesto and all this for Rigiji?
Yes.
And he's clearly put it that he has none. So what he's trying to do, you allow him and you're praising him in division.
I'm not even praising him. I'm only helping you people to understand.
Rigiji, let me ask you today.
Yes.
During his impeachment, in Senate where I sit, we are 67 senators. At that time, all he needed for him to survive the impeachment was 7 senators.
Sir?
7 senators to survive the impeachment. If he could not be able to bring these 7 on his side, what is he expected to do?
We can't say parliament in Kenya.
Now,
we have a parliament. We do.
Yes, Senator.
Yes.
Let's see.
Which parliament?
We do have a parliament in Kenya.
Let's try to talk about other countries and justifying how those, affordable housing and good housing, decent housing should be offered to them. Article 43 of the Constitution is very clear, in terms of what the government should be able to provide for its own people, up and including decent
housing. I don't even go to South Africa and see how they are doing it.
The social market, if you saw the market that was there, really, our women were selling their wares in the sun, right?
Sitting on the floor, on the sun.
Sitting
By the way, kando ya barabara, a market can be an amenity in that particular line. Then there's the national budget, the one that we talked about, of markets, standalone markets, and there are many.
Distinguish. We need to have a situation where Kenyans have decent housing. We know people are suffering.
I'm glad
You go to where we are okay. You look at the slums and say, are we really living in the 21st century? But in the process of doing it, you must use your brain. Okay? Using your brain means if you are going to do the tokenism you are doing, then you will never solve the problem of houses for the people of Nairobi. So you need to come up with big thinking. Now that big thinking is not possible because what we are doing is not providing houses for people. It's creating opportunities for people to make money. Can I finish, please? I have only 1 minute.
Give us the
Yes, you have 20 seconds.
Yeah, it is an opportunity for people to make money. Now look, CDF is almost going away. Government has always used CDF to woo MPs to do their bidding. Now they are taking money from the affordable housing and giving it to MPs by way of police stations, markets. Those are the regulations in the parliament. Those are the regulations. What is arguing? This is what you ask them. You ask them. Thank you, man. The last class is over. Anybody who is in that class, they are getting. Listen.